And we have breaking news on the deadly Richmond shooting that left a state trooper dead. 37-year-old trooper Chad Dermeyer died after a person shot him at a Richmond Greyhound bus station. We have just learned the name of the person responsible for the shooting. 10 on your side's Deanna LeBlanc begins our coverage live in the Wavy newsroom. Deanna?
Yeah, Katie, we are learning a lot more about the suspect this morning. His name is James Brown III. He was 34 years old. He lived in Aurora, Illinois. Now, our affiliates in Richmond and in Chicago, Illinois report that he lived with his aunt until she apparently kicked him out about 3 months ago. Now, we are still working the phones trying to figure out what Brown would have been doing at that bus station in Richmond. But today we have a clearer picture of the events that unfolded yesterday afternoon. Virginia State Police troopers, including Trooper Chad Dermeyer, were working inside that Greyhound bus station on a narcotics training operation. Troopers approached several people in the station. That's when state police say Brown approached Trooper Dermeyer and pulled out a handgun, firing it several times. Police say he continued firing as two other troopers returned fire. Brown was shot and killed. Now, we learned a lot about Trooper Chad Dermeyer overnight, including that he lived in Gloucester, Virginia with his wife and his 2 children. He also served from 2003 to 2007 with the Newport News Police Department. As a trooper, he covered Chesapeake up until recently when he transferred to the Virginia State Police Counterterrorism Training Department. Now, remember, 2 other people were hurt, 2 bystanders shot. One person we're learning now, her name is Sarah Haley. She was a junior pole vaulter. This is according to the student-run newspaper from Binghamton University in New York. She was traveling to William and Mary to compete in a relay track competition. Now, again, what we still don't know and what our news team is spending today trying to get answers to is, who is James Brown III? Was he targeting police? What was he doing at that Richmond bus station? We hope to have answers for you in our 150 minutes of news beginning at 4 o'clock. For now, that is the latest in the newsroom. Katie, back to you.
All right, Deanna, thank you. And we continue our team coverage this midday. Hours after the deadly shooting, the law enforcement community is coming to grips with the loss of one of their own. 10 on your side's Jason Marks is in Newport News. And Jason, this is no doubt heartbreaking for them.
Very sad day, Katie, for everyone in law enforcement, especially here in Newport News, where Trooper Dermeyer once worked, as Deanna just mentioned. Now, we talked with some of his former colleagues. They tell me he had a passion for being in law enforcement. He loved being an officer, and one former chief told me that he was a star. He was a star when it came to law enforcement. As Deanna mentioned, Trooper Dermeyer was shot and killed yesterday inside that bus station in Richmond during training. He was here in Newport News as a police officer in 2003. He was his first stop in a career in law enforcement. He left to go back home to Jackson, Michigan in 2007. That's where he grew up and he graduated high school. Now, that's near Lansing. He joined that department in 2008. He served at that city until March of 2011 when the department had to make some budget cuts and they laid off some officers. Dermeyer was one of 11 officers who got laid off. He came back here to Hampton Roads where he became that state trooper. We just spoke with his former chief in Jackson who says Dermeyer was always a top-notch officer.
He was quick study, picked up on things quickly, even keeled, just pleasant guy to talk to, easygoing, very professional, carried himself well, and he really had a strong work ethic, really liked to stay active and get into things.
Chief Haynes with the Jackson PD says things are very somber in that small community. His family still lives there. His sisters and other family members work in Jackson, so obviously it's not just the department up in Michigan that's hurting, but also that whole community. The same could be said here in Newport News. I'm told the feeling is very somber. Coming up in a short while, we'll talk to some of his former colleagues here in Newport News, and we'll have some of what they had to say about the life of Trooper Dermeyer and his time here in Newport News, starting today on Wavy News 10 at 4. For now, we're live in Newport News. Jason Marks, 10 on your side.
Jason, thank you. And we have much more coverage of this story on Wavy.com, including more reaction from state leaders and more photos of Trooper Dermeyer.